Okay, now we'll continue from creating and setting up our render scenes and render passes so we can set our cameras and then just render our scene. So since we pretty much fixed everything in here, I'm just gonna create another section for the crash sim here, just to keep things a bit more organized still. And so let's select this guy, create a network box. Okay, and then we will call this bus crash and PYRO, I guess. Bus crash. Okay, capitals. Bus crash. Okay. So these were our render nodes. So I'm gonna expand this. So I want to split this into certain sections. Environment that includes building, and probably the fog as well, but this is a static fog, so I'm gonna bake that out as well as a proxy. So every frame I don't get this calculation going. To shave off every second is valuable. Okay, let it cook. Okay, so this is where I need to create my Redshift proxy output. And here I'm going to do a single frame archive. I believe I had my RS proxies, so RS adds. I'm going to call this RS environment volume. But this is, were we keeping this here or somewhere else? RS proxy. No, that's fine. Okay, I think maybe they were working on the geo actually. Cars, city ads, city walls. Yeah, we can keep this here. And fog proxy. Let's keep it in that similar fashion. And fog proxy, and we call it and fog proxy proxy.rs proxy, and we're gonna write that out single frame here. I don't need anything else, so write it out as a single frame and let it cook. Okay, so that's done. I'm gonna put my visualization here. Okay, so I have my buildings, building ads and traffic and terrain. Okay, good. This is rendering the landscape. This part we did test. So then I want to create another layer here for all the effects. So this is my environment. So I'm gonna create another network here called environment. And Y environment group. And I believe we should be able to use the bundles if with where is my bundle setup? Bundle list, these are my city lights. I want to create a new bundle just for the environment, so I can go to that and add, actually not this one, sorry, remove. We can call it environment geo. So I can drag and drop these guys here, and these are all my environments that I want to render together. These are all my lights. Okay, now the hits. I want to bring in the particles here. These particles are the result of this guy, and then the volumes are also here. So these are just particles, so I can just load these as they are to render. So there's not really a proxy required here, honestly. So I'm just going to object merge them here. I don't want to recreate it. So come back to my bullet hits guns, just load them in. I'm just going to turn this on so I can see that they are there. A different camera angle. Okay, so now I want to test if this renders right, but it's loading fine. So let's at least change its color to something else so we know that it's going to be ready. Now I need to do the same thing with volume, but in this scenario the volumes are going to be a bit different because I am going to be instancing these volumes. And the way I'm going to do that is that I'm going to create as many volumes as I have cached out because of the wedging. So that we're coming from PYRO Impact, so I need to see how many wedges I have. And I have 10 wedges, right? So I made 10 wedges out of these, so that's like 1, 2, whatever. So let's go back to this frame. So I'm gonna dive inside bullet hits. I'm gonna put an add sop. Actually, point generate should do. Point generate. And I want 10 points because I have 10 sims. I think I need the information for these to be as well like this. So we should get the, that was actually already fine. Okay, so I have 10 points, and then I want to create an attribute wrangle to instance, use the instance file feature, which works for Redshift as well. So I need the address of my caches on the disk, which I can get from here. But I need to use the sprintf function now. So that's my address, right? So I want to use $f, that's correct, but I want to change my wedge index with my sprintf function, then which is going to be at point number, to be honest, because I don't care, it doesn't change. So that means as an instance file equals sprintf. So that should change each one of these wedges with the point number, which should result in a folder that I also have. So just to check, oh, $f4, yeah, obviously that's not gonna work. I need another $s, and that to be my frame number at frame. Okay, so but I think we have these as copy selection. I need to check my folder because I think we saved this with a padding. So let's check if we had padding. Yes, we had padding. I think it was S4, S04. Yes, so that's kind of is gonna load our volumes, but just from the different folders as indicated here, which I already have the caches as well. So if I just go to this folder, I have it. If you look in the Houdini Linux way, so that's wedge 7, and that's how we cache them. So each one of these is gonna load a frame from each one of these, and once it actually finds something like this, it's gonna render it the way it should. And then I'm happy here. If I want to visualize this, I can always use an instance SOAP, but that's fine. Now I want to put a Redshift proxy SOAP to tell that there is a proxy in here. Okay, so that's my bullet hits as well. Let's put a color, and I'm just gonna duplicate this workflow in here to create my missiles exactly the same way. Except though now I need to update my path to my missile. So to do that, let's do the same thing. Let's go into the missile. Where did we cache them out? Here. And we need to check now our folder. So that would be the folder coming from here. Copy. Let's go into our last guy here, and I think we kept it quite good, so just gonna change that to missiles. Although we need to change our amount of points we generated, because that needs to be linked to our amount of wedges, and we can tell that by going to here, which is 0 to 9. So that's 9 wedges, sorry, so that should be 9 wedges, just to make sure that we go into that folder to make sure that it's correct as well. Let's do that. So our folders here, I closed it, so I need to paste it again. So 0 to 9, actually that's my bullet hits as well, so it doesn't return an error. So it's going to be 0 to this is already correct, to be fair. The one, so this was the missiles, right? From bullet, that's 0 to 9. That's also 10. Surprisingly, that's also this time is 9. So this it's 9 points. That's fine. So it doesn't really break, but it returns an error, and I mean I don't want that. Okay, that should be now correct as well. We update it, so let's kind of render the missiles as volumes. That looks right. Do we have something else? Yes, that is our volume. Let's go back. These are our missiles. One thing I wanted to add was to add a little light source to the start of the missile. So we can do that by using a regular instancing. So let's put an instance up. I'm gonna name it here missile LGT, and I'm gonna create a little RS light, which we'll have to play with the settings, but it's fine for now. And it's gonna be an area light. It's gonna be a rectangle. It's fine, I guess. Or we can do a point light. Yeah, point light should be fine. And we are going to the, so here we need to, let's call it maybe rocket nozzle. Is it a nozzle? Nozzle. No, rocket thruster. Okay. So I need to object merge the points that are right at the back of these missiles. So we need to find those. I think that would be the source points before we multiplied them with the big nozzle. So I guess then it's here. If I hide everything. Yeah, these are the point centers we want, so I can put a null here. Light source. I'm gonna plug this in here. Okay, so now we're gonna instance those lights to there, pretty much like they will be there wherever the rockets are. And if I now remove this guy, select my instance, and what do I want to instance? I want to instance this light to those places, and that should take care of it. I just need to check if I need to, I think we need to just change the fast point, and I should, yeah, I have the lights there now. Those are my lights, and they will be flying with my missiles. Let's go back to the bundles. I guess we can keep these together because they're kind of linked. Now let's do anything else. We have the missiles. Now that's, oh, we need the explosion volume as well. These are my missiles. Yes, we can do like this, and we can bring the explosion volume here as well. And we're gonna need the thrusters as well. So let's start by dropping in another object merge. Sorry, geometry node. Let's call it bus explosion. Okay, and dropping an object merge here. It's just to keep things clean. Object merge, because we could also render this guy here, but that's not what we want. Into this object, lock it, so we can drag and drop it. Okay. I can turn this off, which means if I scrub, I should see my volume now. Okay, there's my volume. Okay, I'm gonna save these as, while we are at it, 11 render setup, rendering. Okay, 1. Okay, so these are our lights for our missiles. That's also done. My bus volume is here, although none of this has shaders yet. And the last thing remaining is now to bring in our custom geometry, which is our we have these guys. They're fine. Oh, we need the thrusters, my bad. And these are our thrusters, right? They're particles. So we're gonna create a geometry node here. Thruster A, thruster B, I think what would help is to name this appropriately as well. So that's going to be a volume RS as well. These are going to be a PRT. We are rendering these as particles. That's fine. Okay, and object merge, what we need here, object merge into this. This is thruster A, so thruster A is here. You go in there. Thruster B, object merge, lock into this object. Let's find our thruster B is here. That goes in there. So that's ready as well. And finally, we can call this the effects. And I think I want to create a group for particles. And I want to create a group for volumes, emissive volumes at least. Volumes. And an environment volume, which is only one actually, but still, environment volume. Okay. So environment volume will be, do I have the city here? No. Okay, so the environment volume will be my environment volume, which I didn't bring it here yet. No, I did. Didn't we building terrain? Didn't we cache that out? Here we did, but we didn't link it anywhere. Oh yeah, this guy. Okay, so I can't put another node here, I guess. Let's go like this here. This is also FX actually. It's gonna be lit, so well, it's not FX, but it's environment volume. Environment fog. But this one is easy because it's already static and it's an RS, so we're just gonna point that to here. Still need to create our proper shaders. RS proxy, now we put that in geo Environment fog. Okay, that's fine. So it's going to automatically render that. That is fine. So what I want is that I want this as a member of this, and then I want my particles, which are my thrusters and my bullets, to be rendered separately for adjusting them later a bit easier, I suppose. So there's 3 of them, and my environment geo is set. Oh, this, I actually had that here, so let's actually remove it from here. Environment fog, I want this in the environment volume, which is empty, and I want to get rid of this. It's empty. Let's create another one. Let's call it PYRO volumes. Okay, and my PYRO volumes will be bullet hits, bus explosion, and missiles. Okay, so I have my groups. I think that I'm gonna end up having like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 RS render nodes, or mantra in this case, for each one of these layers to render them separate. If you have a strong machine, just you can render them all together as well. It just kind of gives me more flexibility this way. Now the remaining thing is the simulated geo, which is the bus, right? That could be a part of the environment as well. No, but because we want to emit or emissive this from the other place. Okay, so let's create another geo. At the moment we only have one. If you guys want to destroy a part of the buildings, I guess you can just do the same thing and then just populate them here. So bus crash, bus sim, now bus crash, geo rs. Okay, I'm gonna bring this here as well. This is actually standalone at the moment because we only have one. I'm gonna call it here. Let's call it FX Geo FX PRT and well, okay. PRT is in particles. Okay, so let's load in our cache file in here as well into this object. I'm interested in this geometry only, which we need to process a little bit. Plug this, go back here, go back here. Okay, that should do the trick. And do I want to make anything else visible? Do I have my geometry there? It should be here. I want to have a look. Where's my bus explosion? Don't see my pieces. Oh, because this is my old cache until frame 300. Okay, so I have my geometry. I think this one needed a cleanup to render properly, which we could probably, and this is the one actually. Yeah, this has a lot of stuff that we really don't need, to be honest. And I'm gonna actually do that. Attribute delete. So for example, I need V, I need P, I don't need anything else here. So everything but this ship I think has UVs. Yes, I don't need anything from here and here. For shading I need these guys, but I don't need anything else, so group delete. Anything but with ID, pretty much. So something like this should take care of that. The opposite, anything but ID. It's not picking up properly any. Okay, let's do it properly then. Maybe I'm the delete anything but ID, right? So that should do it. Yes, ID hull, ID metal, ID plastic. And I have velocity, position, normal, UV, and that should do the trick. Do I need to create the normals again? I'm not sure. Why is it looking dark? because it looks dark. So I'm not sure, is it because of my shading is not correct? Let me just put another normal. It may have been broken. Now this is probably my light is not correct. No, actually it does need a UV fix. Okay. Oh, and the other thing that we wanted to do was to add some thickness to it, but I don't know if we should. I guess we can. I can put a blast here to see if that kind of helps. I don't want to do that in the glass. Oh, where's my glass? ID glass. Why do I lose my ID glass? Because it's empty? Oh, because I separated it before. That's fine, but I have all the geo here. Let me roll back a little bit. Oh no, because we removed the glass from the sim to bring it back, but that's fine. If you guys want to render it with the glass, I'm sure we can just go back here. Where is it? Here somewhere in the bus, solid sim. I removed the glass here. Why? I don't remember. I think we were gonna do a bullet sim on it, but probably that's not necessary now. Guess we can just do that, and we're gonna have our glass. Oh, because I didn't want to add the glass to be a source for fuel, obviously. So I can then put a null here. Out glass. Just bring it back in to our render section. So we do another object merge. And then just find the out glass, I guess. Out glass. Yes. And then we can merge these in. So it's going to give us the full geo, which probably we should cache that out, to be fair. Okay, so that we have our boat here, ship here. So let's try extruding this geo. Let's see what's going to happen. I'm not sure if it's going to work really good. Poly extrude. I'm gonna save it so it doesn't, if it crashes, we don't lose so much. So if I go 0.02, it kind of did extrude, nothing exploded. Let's try 0.1. It's okay. I want it to go inwards, though it's coming outward, so maybe minus. Okay, so we added some thickness. I want to output the back. It's breaking at some points. I think that's normal. Like it's passing too much or something. I think we can just go use point normal. So this kind of added some thickness as a post process, but it's this better than paper thin geo. And then I guess we can use this and then finally create the normals here. This is kind of creating the reverse normal. I guess we can put a reverse here. Okay, so we have some thickness as well. Okay, so now we are good to render after we put our materials, which we need to create. So I'm gonna copy those materials because there's quite a lot of material I created. Let's go to ShopNet. So these were IDs here, I believe. I'm gonna look into the other scene to see where one of the materials were. Bus render, where am I using the material? It's coming from ID plastic bus render, OBJ bus render ShopNet. So I'm gonna copy my ShopNet from my other scene. Object level bus render. Where's my bus render? Is here. ShopNet. So let's go in to our bus object here. I'm gonna drop this in, and then I'm gonna create a material swap here. I have my RS slides here, metal, plastic, lights, glass, which I should have those corresponding groups here: ID glass, ID hull, ID metal, ID plastic, and then the rest is like create 4 objects and go inside your shopnet. For example, first one is glass, second one is lights, third one is metal, fourth one is plastic, and then I can say, okay, this is group glass, this is, I don't have lights, okay, this is metal, and this is plastic. Okay, so where's the hull then? Then if I visualize, if I turn the selection maybe by groups, it will tell us what is what. This is ID glass, this is ID hull, ID metal, ID plastic, not in group. Not in group is I exported. These are the, it should be plastics as well. That's fine. It's not a shading tutorial. I guess what we can do then, everything that is not assigned, I'm gonna assign as ID hull. So I'm gonna go here, material. I'm just gonna say, okay, everything is ID hull, ID plastic, and then it's going to pretty much override whatever is not set. Okay, cool. Put a null here, bus. You can cache this out or just render it, that's fine. ID render, out render. Okay, so we are good to render the bus as well. I guess now we can pick a camera like this and see what, oh, we need to test our particles and then volumes as well. Yes, sorry. So I'm gonna split this in half. In order to test, we need to create our RS nodes, top to bottom, out. So we're gonna use this as a template. So I'm going to put a Redshift render node. No, what happened? I'm just gonna copy this guy. City render, let's make this maybe default, revert to factory defaults. Okay, so that's the default. We're gonna test our frame 290, I guess, because that's where we have some explosion and some bullets and everything. Maybe you can find a better camera angle, I don't know, or maybe you need 2 cameras, maybe something like this. No, this is fine. Look depth, no, this is not where we're looking. Cam 2, cam 1, I guess we can use this guy maybe, or we can use cam 1, but like a bit more. Let's maybe change the where's my cam 1? Cam 1 is, wing cam 1 is here. Maybe a bit less, let me just like focus like this. Okay, so I just want to make sure that I have some explosions on the walls. That's gonna come after. We have some particles there, so we can test a few frames here and there. That's our explosion. So maybe you start with these frames with a different camera is here. Okay, so we can test a few things here. Cool. Let's call, so we said we're gonna have environment volume. So let's start with the environment geo. Environment geo. So in the environment geo, what I want is that I want to render obviously my environment. For subjects, so it's going to be at environment geo, environment geo. Okay, and I don't want, because we use the city render setting, so that was pretty fine. We don't want any GI on this one. This is our environment geo only. I want the lights, so it's the city lights, candidate lights. I can select it from here. I believe I had that here, yes, except bundle. We can create the bundles from here too. Somehow these bundles are not linked to that, which is not very cool. Okay, so I'm gonna try the first half res, and then I think the default trace step was 6, so that's pretty fine. I'm gonna stick first, go small, 3x3. Okay, let's go 4x4. Okay, 2x4, 2x6. That was the default settings. I'm gonna turn on the motion blur after. So basically what I want to see now is what it renders when I hit render for this frame. So I'm gonna save, and I'm gonna hit render to and play. That was a quite small resolution here. That should just give me the environment. That's where we left it at least. Oh, it's the wrong camera, but it's working. Okay, so let's select our good camera, and we know that it's not a good resolution too. That's because our camera resolution is not correct. So let's select all our cameras. So to make sure that they are the correct size, which I'm gonna go for a full HD. So when I do my half res test, it's gonna be half HD, almost half HD. And this is my camera for WinCam. Okay, hit render and wait. Okay, so my environment is rendering, my city is rendering as we already tested it before. There is no GI, there is no volume, there's no ships, there's nothing, but it's rendering. It's a bit noisy. We need to play with the settings, but I'm not gonna spend time on at the moment rendering how it should render. So that's good. I'm gonna leave this on the side. Okay. So what I want to render now is to see if I'm rendering my particles correct. So I can just copy paste this. I'm gonna call particles. Okay, and in the particles, what I want is that I want my environment geo to be a matte object. Particles are emissive, so I don't need city lights, but I think they might come handy. I don't know, I'm gonna think about it. And I want to render these particles. So what are my particles here again? I have my name, which is, I wonder if I can drag and drop this here. I haven't tried it. I guess not. So I guess I can just say then add particles. So that's probably gonna be a fail at the first time. So I guess what I can do is that I know that the particles are made out of bullet hits, thruster A, thruster B. So bullet hits, PRT, I can start with this. I know that these are particles, so I render object as particles. Ignore scale attributes. I don't know if we define the scale yet to these, so I'm gonna go 1. Okay, so I'm gonna hit render to see what it's gonna render first to begin with. Render to and play. Oh, yes, it's the force matte. We need to create a take on this. The thing is still rendering. Yeah, are we rendering the particles? This is the particles. But it's still giving me exact same thing, except though, do I have the particles here? I do have the particles, they're black, so environment is not rendering properly. That's what we need to take care, and then assign a shader to our particles, which are our bullets. Bullet particles, where are my particle shader? Ship B guns RS. That's what I need to assign. I can use the same technique I'm using for thrusters. So I'm going to copy my shader and bring it to my shopnet, which is called RS Thruster. So if I go inside illumination, it's connected, and if I go inside here also, I'm connecting my CD attribute to my color, and they are emissive, so it's an incandescent shader. So I can now plug it into my bullet hits, and if I need to play with the amounts, I'll change it, but I guess I can create another one called bullet hits. So that should kind of render those shaders colors. But I want to use the takes system to do some overrides. So I'm going to create a take. I'm going to call it, this one is called particles geo. Particles geo. Okay. And what I want is if I go back to main, I want this Redshift node to take the overrides from particles geo. So now if I go to my take and I go to particle geo, and then I can select my environment, all my environment nodes pretty much, and then say, where is it? Redshift. I would like to overwrite the visibility of this proxy object. Okay, actually let's do the all in case, even if I'm not using, I'm gonna do that. Okay, and then I need to go to visibility, I need to go to matte, and then I'm gonna say, in this take, all of these objects are matte. Okay, also, I'm not entirely sure that it would help, but I can probably say, because these are emissive particles, don't cast any shadow on these objects. Receive shadow should be okay, but that's probably not gonna. But when I'm in the city, I want actually these to be visible to reflections. I want them to be visible to refractions, all that stuff. So I think that should do the trick. So now if I go out again and then try to render my particles, I can go back to main and then hit render to end play. Now even if I didn't do the particle colors correct, everything else should render black with the particles with a white alpha. Hopefully that is the case, but they are also rendering bright. So that's cool. We need to check, of course, if there's motion blur. So let's find another frame like this. So maybe make sure that they're not too big, which we're gonna play with the settings here. And we need motion blur, so we need to play with those as well until we consider the particles geo RS is correct. So I think they are slightly too big. Yes, they are a bit too big. So let's go back to our bullet hits node. Here was we had the settings, so again go like 4 times smaller. And remember, they change color as we get close, so they're the much brighter once they are hit. So we can select another frame again, hit render. And I just want to make sure that we have the good motion blur as well when we're really close, so they're not really big. Okay, that's better. Let's go back again, something like closer. Poof poof. I don't know if we create something right while we're flying by, but I'm gonna find it. Okay, that's I think the closest we fly through. Okay, let's do another render. Okay, I think I want them more bright. So I'm gonna go to shopnet. I'm gonna name this to RS bullet hits. And I'm going to increase the multiplier by 10. Let's see what it does. So it's brighter. Okay. And let's check with the motion blur as well. That's when they're fastest. So Redshift, motion blur, enable mesh deformations, instances, particles, blur, everything is enabled. I need to go and select my object. Okay, this is fine. I think there was a setting here, deformations, particle blur from the list attribute. That's fine. Okay, I'm just gonna hit render again and do another close-up test. So I kind of shifted it to do this testing, which is fine. Oh, I think I want to exclude that anyway. Okay, I think we are whizzing by, so they're motion blurred, camera motion blur, all that jazz. Okay, that's good. So I'm gonna turn this off for now. I know that it's working. So we're gonna move to the next guy. Is our, we need to assign our shader to the thrusters as well. So we get our thrusters visible with the same shader, which was RS bullet hits. I think that should do. Let's do another render just to make sure that it's visible. We may need to change its size. This guy, we didn't change its settings to particles. No, ignore. Yes. What did we choose for this? These may need to be smaller. Let's do that also. Maybe one. Let's try first. This is the part we're looking into that kind of moves around. It's going to create nice reflections here and there. Okay, but I'm not supposed to see that because I don't have my ships in my environments. That is my problem, which is the bundle. So I want to put my, should I separate my ships? No, I'm going to create it a bit simpler than I would like it to be. So I'm going to add ship A and ship B. So automatically my layer overrides will be working. So now instead of seeing these guys, we shouldn't see them because this stays at the bottom, this stays on the right. So let's see if that works. Yes, so these are my particles. That's working. I'm happy. Moving forward. Next thing is my PYRO impacts, which are under my bullet hits volume, and not everything, pretty much all volumes. So I'm going to create another one. I'm going to say volumes PYRO. It's called PYRO wall. Okay, in PYRO wall, I would like to render maybe I can use this as an environment matte. Let's give it a different name. In the tick list, let's call this environment as a matte. Edit matte env geo. Okay, so I want then this node to render matte environment geo as well because I want that. I don't need to render particles with these guys. I don't really think so. I do want to light my volumes with the city light, and I want to render my PYRO volumes. So I'm going to copy that name. I'm going to go add sign, paste. PYRO volumes. By default, this should render, I think, gray because we don't have a shader yet. So let's find a shader. Let's just create a shader, I suppose, which we don't have it here. I think we can just get RS PYRO, RS volume, and I'm gonna call it RS PYRO bullets because we're gonna have a different one for explosion and probably a different one for missile trails. Okay, so let's start with the, because in here I have my bullet hits, bus explosion, and missile. So let's start with bullet hits volume. I'm gonna assign bullet hits shopnet from the shopnet, RS bullets, and then explosion, let's assign it as well, RS explosion, and our missile volumes, where's my shopnet, RS missile trails. Okay, I'm gonna save this. Sometimes things crash, so I'll try to make sure that they don't. That's why I'm being cautious. Let me see. Gray. Oh, I need this as a member of environment geo as well. That's also geometry because. Okay. Now I think, can I hit render for pyro volume and see what it renders? I say it right. Okay. Fingers crossed. I should probably load the Houdini with the, I see nothing. Absolutely nothing. Pyro volumes. Okay, maybe I'm gonna remove now everything. Pyro volumes is supposed to render. I'm gonna debug these one by one. So let's start with bullet hits volume by selecting this guy and then moving this guy here. So because according to what we have here, we should be seeing this is not what we should be seeing. Instance file, we should have some volumes. I guess we're not instancing properly. Oh, okay. That's not correct. I have 10. Oh, there it's working. It's just needed to reload properly. Okay, so I need to be seeing this in this frame. Let's see if I'm seeing it. I'm not seeing it in my render. Bullet hits volume, but this is what it's supposed to render. Yes. So you can select this. Maybe it's our Redshift volumes instance settings. I'm going to double check that. Okay, I think we need to turn on the proxy. Yeah, and then just leave it empty because it's using a proxy, right? Okay, let's try again anyway. Render to and play. It should receive the lights. Oh, we don't have any lights, but it should then be visible in the alpha if it renders. I don't see it in the alpha. Okay, we need to debug this. I'm gonna pause the video, find out why it renders in my older scene, not this one, and I'll come back as soon as I can. Yeah, okay, so because I was instancing, I had to check with the other scene, because I was instancing Houdini BGOs. There is a thing you need to change under the Redshift object settings. So the default instance file mode is set to Redshift proxy objects, but instead now we are instancing Houdini compatible objects, which is the BGO, right? So if I have now add my all lights, my city lights, I think I don't need the environment light anymore. I select my bundle here, accept bundle. Okay, maybe the bundles don't work. If I go render to in-play, no, it's fine. So as you can see, now it's kind of working. However, these were explosive volumes, so we need to get that working as well. So I'm gonna keep this always on top. Actually, I think we can use the render view. So I'm just gonna save this. Open render view, because with the render view we can play with the shaders. Actually, let's close it again. I think here are some default settings, custom IPR. No, that's fine, that's fine. Okay, just open the render view. And from here, I'm going to select what I want to render is the PYRO wall. And my current camera is this. Okay, so that's fine. It renders quite fast. So I guess now I need to go and find my shader and kind of use my values. So it kind of emission is, I think we had the temperature here, and I guess we can do like a 10. I'm not sure, so maybe I want to investigate how was that cache so we can load the proper things. If I load from here, it's gonna give me the names of the names, right? So we need to, I guess, unpack them so we can read them. I'm gonna kill it here. Where was my button to stop the rendering? No, this guy. Okay, so I can have a bit more responsive times. Unpack temperature. Okay, so I have a temperature. So if I blast all of this and then maybe just keep instance 0. Okay, I'm gonna hide everything else. Okay, and then if I unpack, I can get some of my values, so I know that I'm doing the right thing. So I want to check what my temperature is and all that stuff, so I can use a volume visualizer, right, and hook that up, density to density, and I'm gonna plug in my temperature here, increase my temperature to get some values out. So I'm gonna go 2, so I can remap that to 2 maybe. Okay, in that case I'm rendering this. Let's play with our shader then. That's the bullets. Temperature is, I'm gonna put it to 1, and I'm going to go in here, advanced, and I'm going to change my emission to 0 to 2. Then I'm gonna render it to see what it does. Render template. Render template again. Okay, it's all white now. So maybe too much. Let's select the shader. Okay, this should be able to. We should be able to play with this. So that's not the color we want, right? So I'm gonna hit render again. Okay. So I would like my colors to be explosive colors. So that starts with white, goes in yellow, okay, and then goes in orange, hot red, orange. Okay, so we don't have enough density, I would say. Maybe increase our density to 10. Okay, so we are probably scattering too much. Maybe we're too bright. Okay, I don't want white smoke. So we're gonna play with the colors. Same for the absorption as well. Okay, just trying to get a bit more contrast here. I guess we can go grayish. Oh, no, we want black. Okay, do we want, are we too hot then? I guess we can play with some of these settings until we are satisfied. I'm gonna scrub ahead a little bit. And it crashed. Yes, don't do that. Let's launch Houdini again. Okay, loaded back the scene. I guess what I want to see was how does the color change over time, because I want to be hot and cold, and I think that's where we're gonna play with the amount. So at this frame, right, we need to have something small. Let's split the paint up the bottom again, lock it up, out, and PYRO render one more time. Okay, I think we're too bright. That's the problem. I guess we can play with the. I'm gonna leave this as it is, but I'm going to bring maybe the scale down. Select PYRO. Yeah, it's not. I'm not happy with the color. This is cooking for too long. I want to decrease that as well, because that when it's testing it, it takes this guy into consideration. I think 64 passes, right? That should go much faster now, and then done. Okay. All right. Well, I mean, let's start by putting the other volumes as well. Anyway, so we have this bullet hits. So we need the missile volumes. It's gonna, because this is instanced as well, we need to do the exact same thing with the instancing settings. So Houdini compatible. What we need though is now we need to bring in, because right now this is probably just gonna be gray trails. I believe we have a few trails here and there, and they're inside the volume actually. Okay, let's debug these one by one instead. So missile volumes, here is what I need. I have the caches. I get some error here. Perhaps in the scene. No, that's fine. Come back here. Just need to get the same setting as this guy here. Pretty much. Instancing on, instancing, Redshift instances, compatible objects. And I have my points here. So I should have my instance file should load my proper instance file trails into my scene, and here I'm failing. Unable to read file PYRO missiles page 8. Okay, so why? Oh, because we had it earlier? No, we should have them. It must be a typo here. Let's check. Okay, I'm gonna load this path into a file browser. v_1, that's correct. Wedge. Oh, these are empty. Oh, why are these empty? Did I remove them? Tutorial PYRO missiles. Oh, I didn't cache these? That's strange. PYRO is here. Well, I guess I need to cache them again. Okay, well, we'll leave that as it is for now. We don't have it. Now the other thing is the bus explosion. Let's put that in as well then. Let's do our test. Oh, we don't have the explosion in this frame. So I need to go to a frame where we have our explosion, which is now. Maybe do a little test render. Okay, so we have my environment light, but not the shader that I'm after. So I guess we can try to load in our shader. Render. That's our explosion, bus explosion. Okay, so we had the temperature here, right? I'm gonna add in my colors, yellow, orange, a bit more yellow here. Okay, let's see what it does. Okay, so I think we can now play with the shader a little bit more. Bus explosion. Probably denser. Need more denser. It's really hot, really cold. That's where we're gonna need a proper emissiveness to eliminate our volume with the fiery areas. Okay, so let's keep it for now for 20. This is not a shading tutorial, but we can. This is for you to play with. One thing though we need to bring back is what we have been using as a math. So select the PYRO wall, add it to force math, and here now I can also use my bundle to keep it PYRO volumes, right? This was the name, add PYRO volumes. Okay, now if I hit render, I should get proper mathing as well. And now because we have some emissive stuff, we need to use this in our scenes. This is not the correct, because it's not rendering the correct scene, but this is what we're gonna need. So this yellowness to be showing up our renders. However, I need PYRO main to render math environment as a geo. So I'll do that again. And let's wait for it. Okay, so our volume is rendering as well. That's cool, and our ship is as a math object. All right, that's also cool. So moving forward, we have the environment geo. So now I want environment geo to render, to take into consideration for volume as well. So which means I'm gonna create a new take. I'm gonna call it math wall. So I want environment to render in this take, and in this take I want my all emissive stuff to be visible in my reflections and everything. So I want this guy, bus explosion, bullet hits, all my thrusters, everything pretty much to be visible, but as, where is it, as a math object, math enabled. Okay, and I would like to, where is it, I don't want, if I'm using any proxies, I want the visibility to be overwritten. Basically this is gonna take care of that pretty much. And if I go now into my main and tell my environment to render math as a volume, and then I need to bring pretty much what I have here into here. Okay, so if I now render this, actually I'm gonna put in the phantom. I want to see if it makes a difference. And hit render. Let me see where it is. And we let it render until we see the result. Okay, I don't see the volume, but I see its reflection, which is exactly what I need. And because I'm rendering the environment as a map, and they're in the windows as well, I'm rendering the environment as a map. Okay, but I am not getting my ships visible because my overrides were not done at the correct place, or why I don't get, they don't have a shader. Environment geo, let me go to my volume to see if the ships have an override, and they don't, and they're coming black. Maybe there's no light on them, or we need to assign a shader, which we will find out. Okay, moving forward now, what we have left is we have our particles rendering, we have our PYRO rendering, environment rendering, city lights, we're fine. Because we're using all of these. And now finally the environment volume, which I'm gonna create it here. I'm gonna say environment volume. So I want environment volume to, which is here. I'm gonna get the PYRO volumes into Phantom, and then this is gonna be, I think, math as a volume. That's fine, and PYRO as a Phantom, because I want to lit the volume environment fog that as with the explosion, but I mean that might be quite expensive. So let's bring in the city first, because I do want the city, the lights here, environment here. Okay, let's just give it a go. Where is my environment volume? Is here. I'm gonna just select that actually here by myself. Environment fog volume RS. Environment volume fog RS. Environment volume fog RS. Okay, so now let me hit render to see what it's gonna do. It should just create a very bright, colorful volume looking from the city level. This might take a little. Oh, this is not the matte volume. That's the wrong take. Render again. Something is off here. Object. Where's my fog? Why is there a different object called fog? Did I not load that in? Okay, let me try the fog. Maybe we have a problem with this object at the moment. Let's try. Oh, it's because it's BGO, I guess. No, but we wrote out a. Okay, let's try. Let's hit render and let's try. See what it does. I want my fog maze that all the lights are contributing into it. It's gonna look awesome. But now it needs to calculate it. So because I'm not using the RS, or is it? No, it's not rendering. Is it because my lights are not rendering? No, that's fine. Turn it off. Let's see. Now this should work. Where is my environment fog? Here. It's using this proxy, which does exist. It's 37 megabytes. So I will just try to maybe render it like this. First to test it with an environment light. Hit render. It's not rendering, or it's not fetching anything. Maybe that's okay. It's supposed to work. Settings, visibility. It doesn't have a shader, of course. That could be a problem. Let's create another volume shader. Let's call it fog. Okay, and this is just gonna have density. So let's assign the shader to it as well. RS fog out render, and it's not rendering, it's ignoring me. Okay, I'm gonna try the current render. Still not working. It makes no sense. I have an object here. Oh, maybe I need to put an RS proxy here. Yeah, that's probably it. Yes. And then render, and then now it should. Okay, now it's rendering. Obviously super thick. Well, I mean, we don't know how thick it is because we don't have any other object in it. So let's go back to what we were doing. So it needed a shader, obviously. That was our mistake. And I want environment as a matte. So that means matte environment. Hit render again. So now we can tell about our density issue, if we're too dense or not. So we need to play with the density. I think we are a bit too dense. Yes. Let's go to advanced. Maybe change our maximum density to 0.2 or 0.2 is fine. Let's try. Now we want to test if basically we want to be able to put some light into our volume from our explosions. Is this any better? No, it feels the same. I want it less. Oh, I didn't change the, what did I change the volume of? Oh, I hope I didn't change something else. 0.2. Let's try again. It's because it's a proxy, so it's baked in. So I need to say overwrite user data, I guess. Materials from scene materials. Proxy materials from scene, full overwrite. List overwrite from scene materials, and probably I need to, yes, because for it to understand that the shader is doing something else, I need to enable the overrides. So let's play again with the render to end play. Hopefully this time we're gonna get close. I kind of feel like we need to expand to enable something else for this density to work properly, because I think it's just keep doing the same density over and over. Let me find that again. Okay, so now it's working. It's the it was linked to, I need to change the proxy material from object node because this is an OBJ node, so it's now using, so that's the difference. I realized that our matte environment geo, that is the bus crash, now we included it, but it's still not rendering as a matte because we didn't do its override, so let's do that as well. So it's gonna render as black. So now the one thing that we need to do is to put in, for example, our bullet hits as a phantom, and our blast explosion as a phantom as well, to contribute some light to it. But that's only going to work if we render it with the GI on. So that's going to be a little bit expensive, but I want to see that first. Using force phantom doesn't actually render the object in the primary, but it kind of maybe hides it, kind of creates shadow or whatsoever. Because if I see it in the beauty, I don't like it and I don't want it. But that's probably gonna be fine, force phantom. So which means now if I actually turn on global illumination, it's gonna be quite dirty probably, but it should get a lot of additional light contribution. So I'm going to file, save again, and hit render. And now we can wait to see. Okay, so that basically that bright area is our not our volume, but rather it's the contribution of the light to the volume itself. So we do want that, although obviously we're gonna need to crank up the samples a little bit high, but that's what you want. You do want to light up the environment, right? So that's now our all volumes, and then what we need to make sure now is that our environment is rendering quite well as well. So I'm going to go all one by one. I'm going to turn off all this. So this was our environment, which is rendering our pyro volume against our environment geo, which is fine. And then our particles are rendering as well against our environment geo, which is fine. Our pyro volume is rendering against environment geo, which is fine. We're just using city lights only. I think that's all we need. So what I'm going to do now is that I'm going to render each one of these in a single frame, proper resolution, probably do a little bit test on the quality settings, and then we'll do a single frame comp to conclude the Elite Fallen lesson, and then I'll just leave it to your imagination to create your own cities. And hopefully this tutorial is going to be a great help for you to start playing and organizing scenes such as this. Okay, let me pause it so you can come up with a cool render with the final settings. So now the render is finished. I did a little A over B comp, so from this one angle. The rest is now for you guys to figure out some camera angles, or just replicate this workflow in a different scenario, or just use the building setup, etc. And so this will be the end of my tutorial. Thank you for watching, and hope to see you in another tutorial like this. Bye.